Is believing in Jesus' divinity just blind faith? What if I told you there are 3 historical facts that most scholars, even the non-Christian ones, totally agree on? They might actually point to that conclusion. We won't start with the Bible as a holy book, but as a historical document. Using an approach called the minimal facts argument, we'll look at data so strong that most historians accept it, and ask, what's the best explanation for what happened? The first unshakable fact: the crucifixion. First fact is a brutal one. Jesus died by Roman crucifixion. This isn't just a Christian belief. It's a historical fact that is almost universally accepted. We know this from non-biblical sources like the Roman historian Tacitus, who wrote that Christus, who was the founder of the Christians, was executed by Pontius Pilate. His hostile testimony makes the account totally believable. Roman soldiers were experts at execution, so we must start with this grim reality that Jesus was dead. The second puzzling fact is the empty tomb. This leads to our second fact. Shortly after his burial, Jesus' tomb was found empty. While this is more debated, the evidence is powerful. The location of the tomb was known. If the disciples were preaching a risen Jesus, their opponents could have just produced the body and ended Christianity. Instead, their earliest counter-argument was that the disciples stole the body, which admits the tomb was in fact empty. The most compelling proof is what historians call the criterion of embarrassment. All 4 Gospels report that women were the first to find the tomb empty. In first-century culture, a woman's testimony was considered unreliable. If you were inventing a persuasive story, you would never make women your star witnesses. The only reason to include this culturally inconvenient detail is because it's what actually happened. And then we have the third transformative fact: the appearances of the risen Jesus. An empty tomb is one thing, but what happened next was transformative. The third fact is that many different people and groups claim to see Jesus alive after his death. Our best source is a creed the Apostle Paul quotes in 1 Corinthians 15. Scholars agree this creed dates to within a few years of the crucifixion itself, far too early for a legend to develop. This creed says Jesus appeared to Peter, the 12 disciples, and then to over 500 people at once. This mass appearance is a problem for the hallucination theory, as hundreds don't share one hallucination. Crucially, the list of witnesses includes 2 former skeptics: James, Jesus' brother, and Paul, a violent persecutor of Christians. Wishful thinking doesn't turn a hostile enemy into the faith's greatest missionary. So, let's connect the facts. Jesus died by crucifixion, his tomb was found empty, and numerous people, including skeptics, believe they saw him alive. What theory explains all 3? The disciples stealing the body doesn't explain why they would then die for a lie. Hallucinations don't explain the empty tomb or the conversion of skeptics like Paul. The explanation that the disciples themselves gave was that God raised Jesus from the dead. If Jesus was raised from the dead, it's the ultimate validation of who he claimed to be. The resurrection is the historical event that supporters say bridges the gap between Jesus the man and Jesus Christ, the Son of God. The evidence doesn't demand blind faith. It invites a verdict. What do you think? Which theory makes the most sense of the evidence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if this gave you a new perspective, share it with someone who might be asking the same questions. Thanks for watching.